Welcome to Healthy Planet, Healthy Me. I'm your host and producer, Sherry Beal. Happy Friday! Woohoo! All right, we have a very special show for you today. You know, when I go out into the community and I find something that's really awesome, I like to bring it in and share it with my beloved listeners here. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. Today, our guest is Dr. Gordon Grobelny. He's a board-certified professional applied kinesiologist and chiropractor. He also practices craniosacral therapy, NLP, and many other cutting-edge modalities. He's been in practice for 20 years, the last 19 years in Washington State, and he has recently opened a new practice in West Los Angeles. Now, his wife, who's been on our show previously and has a lot of fans, she's the producer and director of What the Bleep? Betsy Chassie. So Betsy Chassie is actually here with us today. We might be able to pull her on. We'll see at the end of the show or something. And they have two beautiful children. So we're really happy to have them here in studio. Dr. Gordon, or Dr. Gordy as his patients call him, has helped people from all walks of life, including athletes such as Pro Bowl football player Eric Metcalf, who played in the NFL for 12 years and suffered from great pain prior to being treated by Dr. Gordy, and we'll hear all about that. He also had a quote here that, or there's a quote from actress Linda Evans that I want to share because I think it really encapsulates Dr. Gordy and his practice. She says, Dr. Gordy has been an integral part of my health and wellness regime for close to 20 years. His knowledge of kinesiology, physiology, nutrition, and energy is as profound as his ability to apply it. He is an authentic professional applied kinesiologist and extraordinary healer. So without further ado, I'd love to welcome to Healthy Planet, Healthy Me, Dr. Gordy.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Sherry, and thank you, and hi to all your listeners.
Okay. Well, let's start out, because this is somewhat new to me. I mean, I've heard the word kinesiology. I was, dance was one of my majors in college, and kinesiologist, but I really didn't know as much what it was about until I met you. So let's start off, Dr. Gordy, if I can call you Dr.
Yes,
Gordy.
please,
Okay.
Dr. Gordy.
And tell us, what is applied kinesiology and what is professional applied kinesiology?
Well, kinesiology is actually the study of motion, if you look at the definition of the word kinesiology. The term applied kinesiology came about from a chiropractor named Dr. George Goodhart Jr., who kind of started this whole movement. And he called it applied kinesiology because it started with muscle testing. He would test certain muscles, and he found that he could do certain things by correcting certain reflex points, and it started helping people more so than just straight chiropractic adjusting was. And so he said we seem to be applying this kinesiology, the study of motion, to the actual human being. Today it's expanded so far that you can use muscle testing to actually ask what's happening with the body in terms of structural, which is all the alignment of the bones, the ligaments, the tendons, the muscles, the fascia. The periosteum covers the bones. You can use it to structure, but you can also use it to find out what's going on chemically, nutritionally, and also what's going on energetically and emotionally. So the term applied kinesiology has sort of become kind of a catchphrase, and it's not the most accurate description of what we do, but it sort of took hold. And unfortunately, nowadays you can go take a weekend seminar, or you can just start testing muscles and call yourself an applied kinesiologist. But the difference in professional applied kinesiology is that there's a board called the International College of Applied Kinesiology, which is a board that actually teaches classes, courses to physicians who can diagnose. You have to be able to diagnose, and then you do certain tests, and you have to pass tests. So as a professional applied kinesiologist means that I've actually passed a whole bunch of tests, and I'm actually certified that says, yes, I know what I'm doing.
Okay. Now, you started doing something when you were 16 years old, practicing something that was somewhat related to this field. What was that?
There is a layman's course for applied kinesiology, the kind of kinesiology that anybody can take. And as a 16-year-old, I took a course. It's called Touch for Health, and it's kind of a little bit watered down from certain parts of applied kinesiology. However, my mentor, my chiropractor growing up, was one of the early chiropractors, the early doctors in the ICAK, or the International College of Applied Kinesiology. And so I happened to be a patient of his, and I was very interested, and I took this class. So that's 30 years ago this summer. So while I've been a chiropractor for 20 years, I've actually been doing kinesiology for a good 30 years now.
That's pretty incredible that at that young age you really started on this path. Now, let's talk a little bit about muscle testing. There are some people who, totally understand what that's all about, and there's some people that may have never heard this term, muscle testing. Can you explain that?
Yes, muscle testing. Muscles are interesting because the muscle cell and the nerve cell are very much like a light switch. The cell either fires full on or not at all. So if you walk into a room, the light switch is on or it's off. There's no halfway in between. So when you're dealing with muscle testing, you're dealing with the ability of the muscle to fire. Now the difference between trying to lift 5 pounds and lifting 50 pounds is the number of those cells that fire. In the muscle testing, the way we apply it, we are using, there's a physiological phenomenon of facilitation and inhibition. Those are big fancy words meaning turn on and turn off. In certain positions, if you're going to move your arm forward, well, the flexor muscles, the front muscles turn on, but the back muscles have to turn off or you'll have no movement. So we're looking at situations of finding out when muscles are turned on and when they're turned off. But the important part here is that the muscles actually, every muscle is related to a gland or organ and an acupuncture circuit, as well as each muscle has its own nerve supply, its own blood supply, and its own lymphatic drainage, and many other factors that affect the muscle. So when you, in effect, when you're testing the strength of the muscle, you're actually addressing the possible changes in all of those parameters. So as a professional applied kinesiologist, it's my job to ask the muscles what's going on and then determine if it's a problem with the local muscle. If it's a if the muscle's not working, is it a problem from the nerve reflex from the spine, meaning a misalignment? Is it a problem with the soft tissues that affect that? Or is it a problem, say, with the organ that shares the same kind of relationship through the acupuncture meridian? And so another way to look at it is that the acupuncture circuits are like extension cords, and in your body you have appliances coming off the extension cords, and the appliances in this situation would be the glands, the organs, and the muscles coming off those extension cords. So we actually can get a detailed evaluation of what's happening inside the body from a really complete balance without having to cut it open and without having to do a lot of invasive tests.
Now, what is amazing is, sort of the concept behind muscle testing, and I have a little experience with it, is that the body can really communicate to us if we allow it to, and give us a lot of information. But better than I do using this in your practice, Dr. Gordy. But for those people that might be a little skeptical, maybe they haven't heard of muscle testing, is there any scientific backing that you can share with us?
Yes, there is actually some. If people like to go online and they like to search out, this is the age of the internet. So you go online, you look up muscle testing, and you'll find there's a lot of people who are pro muscle testing, and there's a lot that are anti muscle testing. There a lot of early research that had been done had people who had not taken much in the muscle testing courses, or they had taken a weekend course, and they weren't really proficient in testing properly. So if you look to the ICAK research and you see what they've done, when you take doctors who have been trained properly and sufficiently, and then you do an inter-examiner reliability to see are they really testing, and if something is a problem, then it should be repeatable. So you'll find that they have over 80% reliability, which is pretty good in the healthcare business. But if you take people who aren't properly trained, then you end up with erratic results. And so when you look at the research, there's plenty of research, and it's the ICAK that has the good majority of that. So there is definitely scientific studies for it, and the men and women who are in the ICAK, which I'm also a member, they're really interested in promoting the scientific aspect and making this a legitimate mode of evaluation and therapy, and not some parlor trick that you use. And I walk through the health food store and I see people testing all kinds of stuff, and I sometimes cringe because I know that I could see what they're not doing correctly, having spent many years doing it.